Appreciate everybody coming out. Beautiful fall day, unbelievable out there. Kind of recap some of the Indiana information from a coaching staff perspective. Players of the week on offense, obviously Deshaun Hamilton. On defense, Jason Kabinda. And on special teams, Irvin Charles. I'm really proud of Irvin. He's really making some plays right now and gaining confidence and having fun and getting a lot of support from his teammates. So I'm really proud of him. In general, a great job of protecting the football on offense and creating turnovers on defense. I think that's been one of the better things that we're doing right now is our turnover differential. And we got to continue doing a great job there because I think we all realize how impactful that is, to winning. Proud of how our special teams have played all year long, scored twice on Saturday, and then creating winning field position, for offense and defense. Offensively, we met our goal of explosive plays, threw for 331 yards, 3 of 4 in the red zone. We really shared the wealth, 7 different players with receptions, and then 1 of 1 on 4th down, trying to get better on 3rd and 4th down situations, short yardage situations, and we're making a little slight progress there. We got to improve our running game and our consistency in our protection. That's got to happen. Defensively, the 3 takeaways were huge. Starting the game with a 3 and out, and then starting the second half with a 3 and out. I think those 2 things really kind of set the tone. Did a great job meeting our objective of explosive plays. Gave up 8 of the 79 total plays. I thought we were really physical. That was one of the more violent games that I've been around in a while, standing on the sideline. There was some hits and there was some shots where the noise and the reactions, it was impressive. It really was. Thought we did a good job handling tempo. That was something we worked on a lot during the week. And I think our man end zone coverages have been really good. That team, Indiana, threw for 420 yards on Ohio State, as we all know, is a program that we all respect. And they threw for 175 yards on us. Special teams, I think our coverage units are playing at an elite level right now. We identified their punt returner as a challenge and a problem going into the game, and obviously we were able to limit his impact. Obviously, we've been investing on kickoff returns, so to have success there and Saquon be able to return one for a touchdown is great, but it was blocked extremely well. We got to improve on field goal and PAT. Going back and watch the film, I actually feel better about it. Because really we had 9 total kicks. I think 3 field goals and 6 PATs, if I'm correct there. And essentially 8 out of the 9, 10 out of the 11 guys, 9 out of the 9 kicks, 10 out of the 11 guys, I'm having a hard time saying this. 10 out of the 11 guys did it exactly right. And on the 1, the guy used a completely different technique and fundamental and did it completely different than he had done it the 8 other times. And on that 9th rep, chose to do something different. So that's a very correctable thing. I don't know why you do that in the first place, but that's what happened. And right where we didn't take care of our gap, somebody blew right through that gap. So the other thing I would say is I love Tyler Davis's maturity and his leadership. I asked him what happened on the 1 field goal he missed, not the one that was blocked. And he goes, I missed it. I screwed it up. And what happens a lot of times with young players, they'll say, well, it was the snap, or it was the hold, or it was the wind, or it was the rain, or it was this, or it was that. And here you got a mature player said, I screwed up. I mishit it. And when guys own their mistakes as coaches, it helps you make the correction. It helps you move on. It's like the officials do with me sometimes. I'll be on the sideline and I'll be really upset about something, and they'll come over and they'll either explain a rule to me and it completely disarms me, or they'll come over and say, Coach, we screwed that up. And it's like, it completely disarms you. What else are you going to say? When people own up to a mistake, it allows you to move on. And I couldn't be more proud of Tyler, and his leadership. So we'll get that going. Obviously, with Northwestern, got tremendous respect for Coach Fitzgerald and what he's been able to do there. you know what you're getting with them. They're going to have a few things in the game plan, offense, defense, and special teams like we all do. But I'd probably compare them a lot like Iowa to the two most tenured coaches in the Big Ten. Their staffs are the same way. Very little change in his career there and his staffs. Offensively, defensively, and special teams. They're going to play hard. They're going to be fundamentally sound. They got good schemes. But what you see is what you get. And it's been a really nice model for them, and it's going to be a challenge. So we got two guys on our team that have brothers that play for them, Charlie Fessler and Tyler Gillikin. So they will be playing intramural football this week. They will not be associated with our program. They'll be out. Obviously kidding, but Charlie and Tyler, obviously, Charlie's brother's a wide receiver. I said Charlie. Billy and Blake. Billy's brother, Charlie, is a wide receiver for them, and Blake's brother, Tyler, is a long snapper for them. I remember going to Blake's house for the official visit, and there was scuff marks and holes and everything all over the walls because his brother Tyler used to snap it to him, and he would drop it and do a light punt in the house. So there was stuff all over the place. But that should be pretty cool. I know, talking to Mrs. Gillikin this week, she's already got a jersey that's been made that's sewed in half, and she's going to spend the first half on one sideline and then the next half on the other one. So, so we're excited about the opportunity. I've got a lot of respect, obviously, for their quarterback, Clayton Thurston. Got a lot of respect for Justin Jackson, one of the more productive running backs in the Big Ten. It should be a really good challenge. Tyler Lancaster, their defensive tackle, is a guy that we've identified as a problem, and we got to be prepared for him. And then the last thing I'd like to say, and then I'll be quiet, is I just want to praise our staff. Very, very fortunate to come to work with a bunch of really good people, men, women, that's coaches, that's doctors, that's trainers, that's strength staff. Just got really good people that aren't concerned about who gets the credit. They're working hard every single day to put our players in the best position to be successful. And I don't tell them enough. I wanted to take a moment to do that. And then for us, it's just focusing on continuing to get better. That's what we just got to do every single day. The rest of the season is just continue to get better. So I apologize. I messed up some names and had a hard time figuring out 10 out of 11 there for a moment. But open up the questions.
Start with Rich Scarcella from the Reading Eagle.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, James.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Really good.
Good. Aside from the two blocks, has there been a common thread in Tyler's misses, and have you considered giving kickoff responsibilities to someone else so he can focus only on field goals like he did the last 2 years?
He's been awesome on kickoff. I think we're better on kickoff right now than we've been. So no, we'll get it fixed. I think, really, to be honest with you, if you take the blocks out of there, he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. So we're just going to continue to work through it. We got a new holder, we got a new snapper, and like I said, the blocks really aren't on him. Our operation time was fine. I wouldn't say the kicks were overly low. When you don't block a guy through a gap and he comes screaming through free, they're going to block the kick. So no, right now we feel very comfortable with what he's doing on kickoff, and we know he can be great as a field goal guy. So we just got to make sure that everybody that's around Tyler is supporting him.
Bob Flounders, Harrisburg Patriot News.
Hey, James. How are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. James, you talked about Herb Charles at the start there. He's been really a weapon for you on special teams as a coverage player. He had that mismatch, obviously, with Minnesota last year. Looks like a physically imposing kid. How close do you think that he's becoming maybe more of a factor in the passing game? And is there anything in your mind that's holding him back?
Yeah, he's been great on special teams, making a bunch of big plays on special teams. He's getting opportunities in the game in terms of reps. We don't go in the game saying we're going to throw the ball to Mike Gesicki 10 times. It's however the game goes and however the game flows. And Irv, as well as a bunch of our guys, they just got to keep working hard, and when the opportunities come, take advantage of it. it's nothing more than that. On special teams, he's had some opportunities, and the plays are coming his way, but it's really nothing more than that. We got depth, you know, and talent across the board at a bunch of positions, and you know, Irv's one of those guys as well, very talented. But you know, like I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, you know, something that's probably a little bit different in our program that's been in the past is some guys are going to have a little patience. And that's a very important quality and important trait to learn early in life, because things don't always come at the time that you want them to come. They come the time that they're supposed to come. So, you know, just control the things you can control, which is continue to work hard and continue to develop and continue to grow. And when the opportunities come, capitalize on them.
Derek Lamar, Wilkes-Barre Times leader.
Hi, James, how are you?
Good, Derek. How are you?
I'm doing very well. James, how tight ends behind Mike Gesicki have developed this past season, and is there any update you can give on Mike?
No update on Mike. I know you got to ask, and I think you guys all know what my answer is going to be, but no update. Looks great. And then the tight ends, we're excited about the development. I think Pancos has played really well this year, and the opportunities he's gotten in. I think Jonathan Holland's got a very, very bright future and is continuing to grow. He's another one of those guys, you know, learning and understanding, you know, patience. When opportunities come, take advantage of them. Obviously, he got some opportunities last week. Both of those guys did, and you know, there's going to be more opportunities as this season progresses. But you know, really no updates. I mean, we expect Mike to play on Saturday, as well as the other tight ends,
Mark Wogenrich, Allentown Morning Call.
Hi, James.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Good, good. How has your defensive speed changed over the past 2 to 3 years?
Could you start over? I'm having a hard time hearing today. It seems light to me, or it's just me. But could you start over again, please?
You bet. How has your team's defensive speed changed over the last 2 to 3 years, and then how is that translating into your defensive production this year?
Yeah, I think our special teams, defensive speed, team speed in general, it's not even close. I mean, right now I talked to our defense about how we're running the ball, and I think we're running the ball really good. I would say, you know, like a great defense, we're running the ball, but I would still make the argument we probably have consistently 8 or 9 of the 11 that are hauling rear end to get to the ball, you know, every play. There's a few guys on the backside that maybe don't think they're going to factor in, and for us to get where we want to go, we need all 11. But it's been really good. You watch tape. I think the play last week I thought was a really good example. Is Amani goes to make the tackle, and what I loved is he was aggressive, and he went after the tackle with the right leverage. He had his hat outside. And he missed the tackle, but he forced the defender back inside, and he forced the ball carrier back inside. He forced the ball carrier to kind of stutter his feet. So although you'd love for Amani to make the tackle, when he missed the tackle, now here comes big old Rob Windsor and a bunch of guys running from inside out, and they make the tackle. And to me, that's what good defenses do. They play aggressive, they go for the tackle, they go to make the big hit, and if they miss, there's guys there to cover for them. So I think our team speed in general has improved dramatically. I think the defensive side of the ball and also special teams. I think it's been a major factor. There's no doubt. I think, you know, and obviously Saquon is someone that everybody thinks about when you talk about speed. But I think we would all agree that he's gotten faster. I mean, you know, 3 years ago he got caught on a lot of those long runs. So I think overall we're doing a great job of developing the guys and continuing to create more speed on offense, defense, and special teams.
Frank Bodani, York Daily Record.
Hey, good afternoon, James.
Hi, Frank. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Two-part quarterback question for you. One, I know Tommy Stevens played a good bit first 3 games. Why did he not get in the last 2? And then secondly, could you just describe a couple of the things that stand out to you most about how Trace is a better quarterback now than he was at this point last year?
Yeah. First of all, Tommy's doing great. It's no different than when you guys ask about a certain guy getting the ball or why we run a certain scheme. It's all based on the game plan that we put together. You know, if Joe feels like the package that we have fits the team that we're playing that week, then we use it. You know, there's some formations that you guys see one week that you don't see the next week. And it's the same deal with personnel. It's the same deal with having 2 quarterbacks on the field. If we think it's going to help our team win, then Joe puts it in the game plan. And if not, then we don't. You know, we have a lot of discussions about that. Obviously, we want to keep Tommy as involved and as engaged as we possibly can. You know, it's a challenging situation. There's no doubt about it. I think that's, you know, that's common. I went through it. You know, most quarterbacks across the country go through it. But we think Tommy's got a very, very bright future, and we want to keep him involved as much as we possibly can, especially if it fits the game plan and gives us an advantage over our opponent. What was the other part of your question?
Just about a couple of the things that stand out to you the most about how Trace is a better quarterback now than he was last year.
Yeah, you know, it's, to be honest with you, it's not even really close. You know, Chris had mentioned a few things to me that she saw. You know, last year, the first 5 games, our record was 3-2. Right now, our record's 5-0. You know, I think the most important stat that you have as a quarterback is wins, and he's 5-0 compared to 3-2. So I think, to me, the discussion should end right there. But I will go further. Completion percentage, first 5 games from last year was 58%. He's at 65%. Okay, even if you want to take the last 5 games of the year last year, the last 5 games of the year last year, he was 61% last year. He's 65 right now in the first 5. Touchdown to interception ratio last year in the first 5 games, he had 6 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Right now he has 12 and 4. You know, I don't think it's even close, kind of in every category that you can look at. If you compare him to the last 5, he's pretty much on par. You can make an argument better in some categories. If you compare it to the first 5 games of last year, he's by far ahead. So I think he's pretty much better in every metric possible.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Really good. You in Philly?
I'm in Philly, yes.
How's the weather?
Sunny right now.
It's beautiful here. It's beautiful here, Joe.
I'm stuck inside working, yes.
Do you have like a little patio or something you can sit on and write from?
Too many bugs. They might be like I'm a chocolate bar or something. I don't know what it is.
Interesting. That would not have been the way I would have described you.
Thank you. Anyway, special teams.
Joe, I prefer I prefer the other topics. Let's continue to talk about you.
Okay, thanks. Oh no, that's boring as hell. You'll put everybody in there to sleep.
Everybody's laughing, Joe.
Thanks. I'll be here all week.
Good for you.
Praise to the special teams. Your kickoff return, punt return, and punt coverage teams are in the top 15 nationally. And I'm just wondering, how have you developed that unit to be as successful as it's been, over the last season, maybe season and a half?
I think it's really over the last 3.5 years. It's what we do in terms of the amount of time we invest in meetings on it. It's the amount of time that we invest in practice. I've been a lot of places, and everybody talks about the importance of special teams, but if you look at meeting time, if you look at practice time, it tells a different story. So for us, we've been investing in fundamentals, we've been investing in techniques, and it's starting to pay off. I think, obviously now with schemes and fundamentals and techniques, and we have more depth and we have more speed. And then I think obviously, Tyler Davis is doing a tremendous job on kickoff. You look at Blake Gillikin is doing a great job in terms of punting and pinning people on the sideline and pinning people inside the 20-yard line or inside the 10. You look at Kyle Vasey doing a great job in terms of his operation times and getting the ball back to the holder or to the punter, and then a bunch of long athletes that are running down the field that are fast. I mean, I was standing on the sideline the other day after I think a kickoff, and Daylon Darien walks by me, and he's 6'4" and beautiful, and Irvin Charles walks by, and he's 6'4" and beautiful, and then Cam Brown walks by, and he's 6'4" and long and beautiful and angular, and and I'm just saying, just imagine being on the kickoff return team, and you got these guys running down the field, and then obviously Nick Scott has been a big time playmaker for a number of years, and it's fun. Those guys are having fun playing. They're playing fast. They're playing aggressive. They're making big plays in coverage. We're making big plays in returns right now. I still think we can get better. I really do. But what's happening now is kind of what we talked about 3 or 4 years ago. Is there's pieces of the puzzle now. You got a plan. You got a vision. You have the depth. You have the talent. You got the scheme. You got the fundamentals. You got the scheme. When you have all those things working together, then you got a chance to do something really good, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better every single day and get better every single week, and I think that's the exciting part in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. I still think we can get better, and we're going to need to. We're going to need to as the season goes on. There's no doubt about it.
Mike Gross, Lancaster Newspapers.
Good afternoon, James. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you? Are you in Lancaster?
I'm in Lancaster. I'm 5'11", and I'm also beautiful.
Good.
Offensive line. When you watch them on film, what are the specific areas that you look at and say, that's where we can get better? That's where this group has upside and room for improvement?
I think the biggest thing is finishing. I think for the most part we're in good position, and for the most part our fundamentals and techniques have been good. There's a few plays where I think our inexperience has showed up a little bit at times, but for the most part we got a hat on a hat. We're in the right position, and we got to sustain the block for a half second longer, and we're through there. We sustained a block on Trace's one run a few weeks ago, and it's a 45-yard gain, if not a touchdown. We sustained a block on one of Saquon's run instead of a 4-yard gain or a 6-yard gain. With Saquon, it's a big one. And I think that's the biggest difference for us right now is straining and finishing blocks. Are there some times where the defense makes a great call and they get us for a tackle for a loss or something like that, or a negative yardage or a 0 yardage play? Yeah, that's going to happen. But for us, I think the biggest difference for us is just straining a little bit longer, finishing blocks, from an aggressive demeanor, from an aggressive perspective. That's the next step for us. Instead of just being content with covering my guy up, let's create a little bit more space. Let's grind, let's strain, let's finish a little bit more. And I think that I can say that about the O-line. I can say that about every position. Defensively, we got to consistently hit our gaps. There's times where we're not getting into the gap we're responsible for, and all of a sudden now they run the ball through that gap, and we got a problem. So it's across the board, offense, defense, and special teams. We can strain a little bit more. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I think this past Saturday is a great example. Saquon returns this one for a touchdown. Why? Because we're all on the same page, and we all strain and get him to the next level. He's one-on-one with the kicker. I like our matchups. A few weeks ago, we run a bounce return back to the field, and we got one guy that's running the wrong return, and if he's running the right return, we got everybody blocked, and Saquon scores again. So it's just those little things. It's the details, it's the focus, it's the finishing, it's the straining. It's a little bit, and that's been my argument to the whole team is if the coaches, if the trainers, if the doctors, if the players, if everybody can just get a little bit better, 1% better, then that's going to add up. And all those little percentage points are going to add up, and they're going to help us. And hopefully give us a little bit more margin for error.
Donnie Collins, Scranton Times Tribune.
Hi, James.
Hi, Donnie.
I may have another coverage question for you. Charles kind of talked a couple of years ago about the Nectons swarming to the ball, and I would guess most special teams coaches would talk about that if they thought it would work. But what is it about Jim that you've kind of been most impressed with in building those coverage teams, and how much of special teams, especially as the coverage, is buying into that kind of mentality?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a little bit, I don't want to be repetitive, but I think it's very similar to the answer I just gave to a few questions ago. Is it's a combination of everything. It's the vision, it's the plan, it's the investment that we make in terms of meeting time, it's the investment that we make in terms of practice time, it's the development of our players and fundamentals and techniques, it's the depth that we've been able to create, it's we're a faster team, which equates to being a faster special teams, which equates to being a faster offense and defense. It's our punter being able to get the hang time and the ball location consistently that we're looking for. The same thing on kickoff. So I think it's not one thing. It's a combination of all these things that I think we talked about 3 or 4 years ago. But now we have more pieces of the puzzle to put it all together, and that's just kind of where we're at. This is really, it's not like we've changed schemes, it's not like we've changed emphasis. We're just at a point in the program now where we have accumulation of reps and experience build up, and a little bit more team speed, a little bit more depth, and the same thing at the specialist positions.
A little bit of the questions here in the room. Raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
James, Northwestern usually...
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
Really good.
That's good. Northwestern usually doesn't have the most celebrated athletes in the conference, but invariably is a tough out, including for your team. What qualities does it have that make it so challenging to play against?
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't agree with that. I think, you look, they have players every year that are drafted. They've won at a high level. They're able to compete against everybody at the highest level. I think whenever you're at an academic school, like Northwestern, I was at one with Vanderbilt, everybody just likes the story to be that you don't have the same type of athletes. And, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. Like I said, they have a bunch of guys every year that make all Big Ten. They have a bunch of guys that get drafted to go to the NFL. They are tough, they are hard-nosed, they are smart, they are disciplined. They got really good schemes. They've had a lot of consistency in their program and their coaching staff for a number of years. I know Pat and their athletic director have a really good relationship, Jim Phillips. They just, Pat's been there a long time. He played there, and there's just a vision. There's a lot of cohesion there. So, I think, they are blue-collar, hard-nosed, tough, smart, and talented, in my opinion. That's why they're a tough out, because they have all the necessary ingredients to be successful.
Deeper.
Good afternoon, James.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Really good.
What is Trace's latitude in the line of scrimmage as far as changing the play, and at what point does that happen? And then how would you evaluate his decision making?
Yeah, I think his decision making has been excellent. I think that's been kind of his deal from the beginning. I tell you what, it's impressive sitting in the quarterback meetings. It's impressive sitting in offensive meetings. I mean, he's got the stuff down. He really does. In terms of this system compared to other systems, obviously, the check with me system, when you look back to the sideline, the coaches are handling that, which in a lot of ways makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of times the NFL guys are not as complimentary of this system sometimes, which I disagree with. I think you look at us, we're a West Coast passing offense with progressions and footwork, and very similar to what I came up in. The difference is you got the coach making the adjustments from the sideline, which makes sense because the players spend 20 hours a week on this, and we spend whatever ridiculous number of hours we spend. So you might as well have the guy that's most prepared, most experienced making those decisions. What we need Trace to do is we need Trace to make adjustments, with the protection, some adjustments in the run game, but mostly in the protections. And then, I think the other thing is coming back to the sideline and having great conversation and feedback with Joe to make sure the way Joe's seeing things on the sideline, he's seeing it the same way. That information is really valuable. But yeah, I think it's Trace going through his progressions. It's making great decisions with the ball, knowing when to hang in the pocket, knowing when to take off and run. All those types of things. And really over the last year and a half, he's been really good. He's been really good in those areas, and we want to continue to build on it.
James, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So what did you learn from your defense last week as far as having to deal with two quarterbacks that are completely different styles, as far as Ramsey being very mobile with, Lego being more of a pocket passer? I know you had to deal with that with Pitt, but it wasn't really into the fourth quarter until Danucci came in.
Yeah, I guess what I would say, though, is we went into that knowing that both quarterbacks were going to play. Maybe not as many reps as it turned out to be, but we went into it knowing that we were going to have to be prepared for both. Now, I don't think that's ideal for us. I don't think that's probably ideal for any program. I mean, you'd love for your quarterbacks to be somewhat similar so that your game plan doesn't have to completely change, and then trying to defend that. You don't have one extreme to the other. But I think that the biggest thing is we anticipated that, we expected that. Our guys were aware when he was in the game it was going to be a different style, that they were going to call the game differently, and he was going to play to his strengths, which were different. They really were. So it's a challenge, but I think the fact that we were able to be prepared for it on the front end and knew he was going to have a factor in the game, and has from week one.
Hey, James.
Hey.
Just curious on the offensive line. Most of these guys played there last year, and it seemed like it was really one of your most improved units as the year went on. Did you think they'd be fitting in better at this point? Is it adjusting to new positions? Because a lot of it's pretty much the same cast, right? I was just curious how, with some of the movement that you guys made, is that added to the transition?
No, I think the biggest thing is we haven't had consistency at the one position, at the right tackle. We've played 3 different guys there for a number of different reasons, and the reality is, whether it's all 5 playing really well together, or whether it's 4 guys playing well or 3 guys playing well, you need all 5. All 5 have to be playing at a high level, or people would say, the O-line's not doing as well as they should. And I think our O-line is playing good enough to win, but we need to get better. And I'd say that about probably all of our positions. You got Will Fries, who's playing for the first time as a redshirt freshman and playing a lot. That's not ideal. There's going to be growing pains from that, but I've been overall pretty pleased with him. I think he's holding his own. Big time football, as a 19-year-old. Obviously being able to get Chaz, consistently back is going to be important for us, because he played down the stretch last year and played really well enough to win the Big Ten championship and go to the Rose Bowl. So getting him back, where he's available for an entire game and available as 100%, would be important. And then Nelly as well. So I think we went into this thinking like those guys were going to help create depth for us, where we've ended up having to use those guys as starters. So it's about probably what I would expect, knowing everything that I know. It's about what I expect.
Hey, James, how are you?
Good. How are you? I'm
good. Hey, the Northwestern secondary, they got a bunch of guys back from last year. Mm-hmm. When you look at that, is that a matchup you're looking forward to, your wide receivers versus their secondary, or your passing game? And what do you guys have to do to be successful there?
Yeah, I think every week we have a lot of confidence in our wide receivers and that matchup in the game. I really do. I feel like that's that's an area that we feel like, Coach Gaddis and the receiver crew have worked really hard, that, we feel like we match up pretty well against anybody. Especially when you got a quarterback who can deliver the ball, and they got to be concerned about the running game, and they got to be concerned about your tight end. That makes it difficult. I think everybody realizes that people are doing whatever they possibly can to limit the impact that Saquon Barkley is going to have in the game, which creates opportunities for Deshaun Hamilton last week. And depending on how the defense decides that they're going to try to take away Saquon or limit Saquon, depending on how they scheme to do it that week, that's going to leave one of our wide receivers, if not two of our wide receivers, in one-on-one situations. And that's where Joe and that's where the quarterbacks take advantage of that. So I think that's one of the things that's exciting about us right now is I know everybody would love for us just to line up and smash it down people's throats, but that's not how we're built. That's not how we're designed. When the opportunity is there to run the ball effectively, we're going to do that. When the opportunity is there to throw the ball to our wide receivers or to our tight ends or to Saquon, we're going to do that, whether that's opportunities for Trace to carry the ball. And I think that's what makes us difficult, is that each phase can beat you. And that's where it makes us difficult to stop sometimes. And don't get me wrong, we got to get better. I think there's areas that we got to get better, and we got to be cleaner, and we got to play for 4 quarters. We can't come out and play really well in the first quarter, then play well in the fourth quarter, but kind of stall in the second or third. But just like I told you guys in the past, we identify areas that we need to improve on, just like you guys do, and we work on them. I mean, the whole conversation last year was about being a second half team and being better in the first half. We identified that as a problem. We've worked on it. I haven't got any questions about first quarter or first half starting slowly. Even you haven't brought that up. So I guess my point is, we understand that we got areas that we have to improve in all 3 phases, and we're going to identify it, and we're going to be very honest with ourselves. We're going to be very honest with the players. We want them to do the same thing. And then we're going to attack it, try to get better. And that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in as the head coach over my career, is we've fairly consistently gotten better as years have gone on, from my first year of being a head coach to now. And that's what we need to do again this year. We just need to, I'm not saying you're going to come out on Saturday and an area that's a slight weakness for us now becomes our strength. It just needs to be a gradual improvement each day and each practice and each game. And if you do that, we got enough strengths that if we can just get these weaknesses a little bit better, then we're going to be difficult to deal with. And I think that's one of the things we talk about with our players all the time. And I think it's a little bit of a generational thing with these guys. Is I think I've said this to you guys before. You go to playgrounds all over America right now. Every kid's trying to shoot a 3-pointer and trying to dunk, and nobody can hit a foul shot anymore. But that's not how our program will be. Our program is going to be, we're going to continue to emphasize the things that we're doing well and the positives and build confidence from that. But we're going to identify areas that we need to get better, and we're going to spend time focused on improvement. And then just like I went back to Tyler Davis, the first way to improve a weakness is to admit you have one.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Good. Audrey? I'm doing well, thanks. You mentioned like...
You used to sit here.
Yeah.
I was showing my tendencies. I wanted to throw you off a little bit.
But it's been this whole year. Last year, the first couple years is always here, I think there.
Because it was easier to get the microphone here. And I took Neil's seat. So I wanted to be
That's
closer
why
to
he's
you.
so angry all the time.
Okay. No, that's not why he's angry.
I'm not angry.
He was born that way.
No, I wasn't.
He came out with a grimace on his face. But it makes you lovable in some ways.
So you said I let him closer to you.
Thank you.
But you had mentioned like a dozen questions ago about Tommy and patience and kind of your own playing days and how you had to wait it out a little bit. What did that experience teach you? Because are you naturally a patient person or not?
No, I'm not.
I kind of sense that.
And I think most people aren't. I showed up at East Stroudsburg thinking I was ready to be the quarterback. I was not. I redshirted. My redshirt freshman year, I struggled. thought I should be playing. Went in, we were losing to Millersville on the road. Gene Carpenter was the head coach. We needed to win the game to go to the playoffs. I went in, we came back, tied the game, which allowed us to go to the I guess it was the national playoffs. And then I never played again for 2 years. And that was hard because just like Tommy, you get in and you know you can do it, and then you have to sit and wait. You know, the guy that I was behind, Brett Comp, who's a high school coach here in Pennsylvania, a good friend of mine. Brett, I was 18 years old, Brett was 24 years old. He was a Marine, had served active duty. This is the guy I was competing against. And I think a lot of times when you're a player and you're looking at it, you know, you should feel like, you know, you're the guy, you know, and you know, I think for me that taught me a lot, that our team was winning, our team was being successful, and you got to focus on the things that you can control and have some patience, although it's not easy as a competitor, but it's going to come, and when the time comes, you need to be ready. You know, so I've shared some of these things with Tommy as well as our other quarterbacks. And, you know, it's easy for me to say. It's hard to go through it at the time. But Tommy's been great. You know, I couldn't be more proud of him. His entire development, the type of teammate he's been, him and Trace's relationship, the respect that he has from our teammates, the respect that he has from our coaches. He's been great. He really has. I mean, he's doing really well academically. You know, got a very, very supportive family, mom, dad, sister, brother. They're awesome. You know, they're awesome. So, you know, it's obviously easy for me to say these things. It's hard going through it, but I've been there. Coach Moorhead's been there. You know, that's part of this position. There's only one on the field, except when we get a little creative and decide to put 2 on. But then when we decide to put 2 on, then you guys ask me how come we don't always put 2 on, and how come we didn't have 2 on this week, and you know, who do you want, Audrey, who do you want us to take off? You want us to take Saquon Barkley off the field?
That's a question for Neil. I'm fine.
Neil.
I think you can keep him.
What about Mike Gesicki? You want him off the field?
He wants a fullback.
Yeah, he wants a fullback. Exactly.
Got time for 2 more.
James, it looked like Chaz was on a rotation last game. Every third series he came in, and then Will Fries played the last 5. What was the decision there to have Will just finish the game?
Yeah, to be honest with you, those things kind of go into the category of things that I don't necessarily talk about with you guys. Yeah, so you can figure that one out on your own.
James, I'm over here. How you doing?
Good, Ben, how are you?
Good. I've always everyone asks you how you are, and I want one of these times at the end. You're just like, I'm actually having an awful day.
I never have an awful day. And I don't believe in saying that you have, like when you say I'm all right, if you say you're all right, that's exactly how your day is going to go. So I goes against everything I believe in. So I will never say that. 20 years from now when we do this, I'll never say that.
I respect that. Saquon's so good that we almost don't talk about him. But it seems like the past 6 quarters or so, he's kind of, I don't know if you watch the movies much, you probably don't have time for tons of movies, but like, he's just sort of hit this like Neo can see the Matrix level. Like he's just.
Say that again.
Saquon Barkley is very good, and he's much better. He's getting better and better. Why do you think?
You said something about something Matrix.
I just decided not to try and explain that.
Okay.
Why do you think he's getting better and better? I mean, he seems to be just exponentially better and better some of these games than he's even been in the past. Is it just because he's getting the ball more, so he's just getting more opportunities?
I guess I don't know if I necessarily feel that way. I think every player in our program gets better as the years go on. They get better as their roles grow, as they earn opportunities. Obviously, he's a better player in year 3 than he was in year 2 because of all the work that he's put in the offseason. So I guess what I would say is I don't know if he's dramatically better this year than previous years, no different than other players. The difference is he started up here. I think the thing that's so impressive about Saquon Barkley is, like I think I mentioned to you guys this summer, his body is still responding. he's still responding in workouts like a freshman. So, typically, as a freshman, you get in the weight room and you lift and you run, and your body really reacts because you've never worked so hard in your life. But by the time you get to your third year, you don't get the same type of results. And his body's still reacting. And I think that's probably the difference with him is, even at as high of a level as he was last year, he was still able to take another step. I also would make the argument that part of Saquon's ability to make more big plays is the improvement of the offensive line, is the improvement of the tight ends, is the improvement of the quarterbacks, is the improvement of the wide receivers, is the improvement of the speed and the physicality of our kickoff return unit, the guys that are blocking for him. I also think it's that we're using him in different ways now. I think the fact that he's our kickoff return guy, there's more opportunities to make plays. Again, I don't think it's one thing. I don't think it's one moment. I think it's a combination of all these factors working together.